Comic Boom.
Hey guys, Comic Boom here to review Justice League Dark issue 12. Now guys, I know that I've been sort of lax on my Justice League Dark reviews. At Justice League 11, I think I skipped over that one, and it was actually a pretty good issue. I'm just going to squeeze the review of Justice League 11 into Justice League 12. I just haven't had a lot of time, not as much time as I'd like, between work and enjoying the weather and dealing with the weather. We've had a couple storms here in southern Alberta. It's wreaked a little havoc on the yard. There's nothing more frustrating when working 3 weeks on a yard, doing yard work, and then have it all destroyed in the span of 4 hours on a practically flash flooding. It's crazy, but in any event, it is what it is. But crazy week, crazy 2 weeks actually. Trying to catch up a little bit here. In post edit, when I put this video on YouTube, it's not going to have as many as many effects as I normally try to put in my videos, simply from the time factor. But I just wanted to at least give a review of this because I want to sing the praises of James Tiny in the fourth, Martinez, Bueno, and Fernandez on colors, Anderson on the colors, I think Fernandez on the colors or inks, or pardon me, Anderson on the colors, Robley on the letters, Martinez, Bienos, Fernandez, Anderson on the cover. Just impressive stuff. Yeah, Alvaro Martinez Bueno on the pencils, Raul Fernandez on the inks, Brad Anderson on the colors. Just, good lord, I butchered that. In any event, where are we going with all this? Well, you know, Wonder Woman is written so well here. Wonder Woman and Zatanna finally get the power of Mordru. In issue 11, they located Mordru. Mordru sort of gave Wonder Woman a couple of bitch slaps. That really pissed off Wonder Woman. I loved Wonder Woman's attitude in dealing with Mordru, basically telling him, you know, hit me again like that, we'll see what happens, you know. In any event, they convince Mordru, essentially. Mordru gives them an aspect of his power, and they become basically the new Lords of Chaos. Wonder Woman and Zatanna, they recruit the Swamp Thing, and they recruit a couple others to basically become the new Lords of Chaos. And of course, Bibbo, the chimpanzee who drinks, otherwise known as, I call him Bibbo, is it Bobo, the killer chimp? Now he's one of the new Lords of Chaos with Swamp Thing and the Man-Bat. I mean, it's just really epic. It's just fantastic. I love the new, almost like a bald-headed Wonder Woman there as the new leader of the Lord of Chaos. I don't really know if they have new names as the new Lords of Chaos, but it's really epic. What I enjoy about this issue is that it goes back and forth between different time periods. It juxtaposes scenes when the Hall of Justice was just opened and Wonder Woman was making a proposal to the League, to the Justice League, saying, "Look, I want to basically create a new Justice League Dark." And of course, then naturally Barry Allen asked if he could create a Justice League of Speedsters, but that was quickly shot down. But I digress. Wonder Woman has approved her proposal to have a new Justice League Dark. Was a good one, of course. Basically, because magic is chaos. It's always hard to pin down the rules of magic. And what I really like about this is how James Tiny in the fourth, I think he understands that, because I know as a reader, one of the things that's always sort of kept me away from really embracing comic books based on magic and mythology in general is that it's hard for me to really know what the rules are. The rules always seem to change because magic actually, for the obvious reason that magic doesn't really exist in our world, you know, the rules of magic and how magic works depends upon the writer. And when it's constantly changing like that, sometimes as a reader it gets a little confusing and hard to sort of, you know, get a grasp on what the new rules are. Because I'm more apt to enjoy a story if I understand the rules that govern that particular universe, especially if it's a universe premised upon magic and mythology. And what I like about this is that very confusion, that very frustration I have as a reader is actually incorporated as part of this massive storyline of the Justice League Dark dealing with the forces of the other kind and the disruption of the magical realm, the magical worlds to begin with. Because magic is filled with chaos, because magic doesn't really has a particular set of rules that are hard to pin down, and because there's different wielders like Mordru and Zatanna and Zatara, who basically, you know, and then even there was the Blue Devil and the magical realm of Mira. All of these seem to have different rules governing magic, and it's hard to really pin them down. And then of course we get the other kind, ruled by embodied by the Upside Down Man that was released when the Source Wall broke down, leaking into our universe, trying to destroy all magic and then have it be reborn in a way in which only they control. All of this is I get the general concept of the storyline, but at the same time, I'd be lying if I said I fully grasped exactly what the rules of magic are and what's going on. And what basically Wonder Woman does here is that with the power of Mordru, they form the Lord of Chaos, and they basically attack basically Dr. Fate and the Lords of Order, because the Lords of Order, they become very cowardly. One of the things that's been established here in this Justice League Dark run, and James Tynion IV has done a really good job of it, despite occasionally having some heavy exposition, which I think is needed, the fact remains is that he does a good job explaining how magic, that all the various users and wielders of magic, it's not like they really get along very well. They're not like the heroes of the scientific world, of our world of cause and effect, that generally tend to get along better. Wielders of magic generally tend to isolate themselves. They don't generally tend to get along very well. They're all kind of loners. They kind of do their own thing. I mean, occasionally they might get together at the Oblivion Bar and have a few drinks with each other, but then they go about their lives. You know, it's sort of like on weekends they go to the Oblivion Bar to drink, but then it's not like they hang out outside the Oblivion Bar. You know what I'm saying? And so because of that, they don't really bind themselves, or they don't really hang out together very much. And so that creates a problem in trying to defeat the forces of the other kind, because it's not like they're particularly united, and also at the end of the day, when you're not united, that tends to reinforce the likelihood of cowardice. And the Lords of Order, as led by Nabu through Dr. Fate's helmet, he's basically they're afraid, and out of fear, their plan, as stupid as it sounds, appears to be to destroy all wielders of magic. Basically, they said to them, look, the Lords of Order said, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take away the magic powers of all the magic wielders in the universe, and in consideration of that, if you give up all your magical powers, we'll erase your memory and we'll let you live normal lives, and you'll never have any memory of you having magic. And once they destroy all magic, then their logic is, if they destroy all magic and then destroy themselves, that there'll be nothing for the other kind to basically feed off of, and the other kind will essentially die of starvation. At least that's my understanding of it. That's an exceptionally naive view. I don't think that plan would work, and of course neither do the forces of Justice League Dark. And that's why Wonder Woman and Zatanna, they get in there, they get the power of Mordru, and here they attack the Lords of Order. And in this comic is so much fun here. The art is fantastic. Kudos to Alvaro Martinez Bueno. It goes back and forth between Wonder Woman sort of making her pitch to the Justice League to have a Justice League Dark, which is something that we probably could have seen in the first issue of Justice League Dark. We saw some elements of Wonder Woman justifying the existence of Justice League Dark, but here it's flushed out more. This is a good starting point. This is a good jump-on issue that you could read, get a good starting point of what the Justice League Dark is. And what I love about James Tynion's imagination here, James Tynion IV, is just how he sort of creates a different version of Wonder Woman and Zatanna and Bobo and the Swamp Thing. And I really like what they did. The letterer here, compliments to the letterer here, does a really good job. Rob Lay on the letters. Zatanna now doesn't create magic speaking backwards, but rather it's in an anagram. So if you read the letters here, it does make sense, but the letters are just mixed up. They don't go from backward to forward again. They're literally mixed up. But so it's a good way of visually showing that Zatanna is using a different kind of magic, and that it's embodied in the lettering. So it's really a creative use of lettering that really bodes well for the comic in general, and it reinforces the idea, especially if you're a longtime lover of DC magical characters. It really does a great job of sort of whetting the appetite of what's to come, and it's a really feel-good comic book. And ultimately here, I reiterate again how much I love Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is written so well here. This is an exciting Wonder Woman. This is a Wonder Woman that has more of a purpose in Justice League Dark than she does in her own comic book. In her own comic book, she's doing the same old, pontificating, supplicating, preaching, And at least in this one, she actually has a legitimate purpose and she's pursuing it aggressively. She's fighting, she's kicking butt, and she's not just saying words. And when she does talk, she's not always talking peace. I love when she said to Mordru there, you know, hit me one more time and see what happens, basically, you know. It's none of this supplicating. She doesn't get on her knees in front of Mordru. She probably would if she was in her pages of her own comic book. This is Wonder Woman as more of the warrior, less so the peace aspect of it. And when Wonder Woman does talk inspirationally in Justice League Dark here, she talks to all the wielders of magic saying, look, I as Wonder Woman, I sat by idly back and I watched as magic sort of took hold, but in a chaotic manner without rules, and you guys have you've lost your way and you've become scared and afraid, and even the Lords of Order that are supposed to protect the universe from magic are now basically I've allowed them to basically give up. They've lost their way. Well, I'm here now. We're going to lead the way. We're going to lead the way to the light. And Wonder Woman has to use her own power to sort of rewrite magic in order to preserve it and to empower everybody again for the upcoming battle that's going to be against the forces of the other kind. This is great stuff. I recommend this. This is the Justice League written by Snyder and also co-written by James Tynion IV. The main Justice League title is great. The Justice League Dark is a good side title that deals with magic. And it does such a great job. Guys, tell me what you think of Justice League Dark. I think it's well worth the read. Follow me on Twitter at Metropolis40. By the way, I'm going to tell you to listen to the Weird Science DC podcast on this. It's always a great podcast. They're great guys over there, the Get Fresh crew. They always review all the DC comics. Again, type in Weird Science DC, Weird Science DC. Listen to their podcast, read the reviews online. They're good people. Anyways, guys, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter at Metropolis40. And until next time, Comic Boom, out.